Hey everyone, it's Rob Watson, Module Leader for TECH1002, Social Media Innovation. This is the overview, summary of the topics that we'll be covering in the 16th lecture, which is entitled Digital Literacies. And the aim of this session is to talk about some of the, we think often of capability to use digital media and to use social media in terms of a shift away from some of the more, if you like, traditional forms of knowledge, communication skills, comprehension, understanding, problem solving, those kind of things. It's kind of, kind of know-how in terms of what do we need to be able to do when we use digital media and social media. So this is a look at the idea of digital literacies, the idea that we can think about the kind of skills, not just the skills, though, kind of evaluation patterns, the processes that we use to problem solve, the way that we reframe the way that we analyze identify problems in the first place. So all of this is really important in terms of not just in terms of know how, but know why, know what, know in what order. What are all of those are the questions that are kind of pretty essential to us as well. I want to start off though with something which is really useful in the Simon Lindgren book, which is the idea of thinking about our digital engagement in terms of, and we've established this through the lecture process so far, in terms of looking at media with the rearview mirror and incorporating legacy and traditional forms of media. And there's a transition that Lindgren talks about between those things that incorporate older forms of media. So watching something on YouTube is an incorporation of television or cinema. And then there's the kind of the enhancement that you get from doing things digitally. So being able to share and being able to watch on demand and, kind of take things on a mobile basis and watch them through networks, which goes beyond broadcast media. And then there's what Lindgren talks about is the things that we can really only do because we're digital, that what are the affordances, the unique affordances, and this is really where we see the shift and change into a digitized. So that kind of sense of he mentions memes and selfies as being something which are the product of new digital forms of media engagement and enhanced media applications, rather than them just being something which incorporate previous forms of media. These are kind of unique and new to the digital social media realm, and kind of what the process is. So our understanding of the kind of literacies, and that's a term which relates back to book reading and the technology of reading a book and the practices of reading a book. But in today's world, how is that played out in terms of the social and the digital literacy skills that we need in order to be able to participate and to collaborate? And we'll look at what Howard Rheingold, who's the guy who coined the term the virtual community. We'll look at what he says about things like participation and collaboration, but also in terms of what kind of critical skills. He calls it crap detection. And the whole fake news, kind of agenda at the moment is very much like kind of how attuned are you to something which is genuine, authentic, plausible, or is it you're letting rip to conspiracy theories and, kind of paranoia, those kind of things. So Rheingold calls this kind of the whole process network smarts. How do we and what do we need to know in order to be able to navigate and connect with other people successfully beyond our immediate physical peer-to-peer networks, our friendship groups, our families, our social groups that we're part of in the real world, if you like, and what do we need to encourage in terms of the skills and understanding of ourselves and people around us that takes place in the virtual world. So this is a kind of very complex set of literacies that are needed, which go beyond just simply reading texts, kind of as linear artifacts, but take us into a realm where we're thinking about, collaborative text and, crowdsourcing of knowledge and the wisdom of crowds, those kind of things. And we'll look at what Jason Mittel calls WikiSmart, so the basis on which wikis operate as a collaborative tool, where there's a kind of fluidity and a transparency, and there's a kind of an emergence. So, collective intelligence is the maybe utopian view about what takes place on a wiki. And it's interesting the work that Jimmy Wales is doing, the founder of Wikipedia now, to counter fake news and to provide forums and spaces of debate where contentious issues aren't just reduced to hearsay or just reduced to like a ping pong of political claims and counterclaims, and that actually there's a verification process that underpins collaborative knowledge. But we do this in a way by, the interesting thing is with terms of these processes aren't new. There's always these processes have been going on for a long time. And we can look back to some elements in history. And I don't want to spoil the surprise on this one. It's not a great surprise or anything, but it's an interesting one in terms of thinking where some of our contemporary media practices through social media have resonance with practices which were established at earlier times and earlier periods. There's an interesting guy, Doug Belshaw, who's put together a list of skills and dispositions, mindsets, approaches, if you like, that digital media need. And he's broken it down like a kind of periodic table into 8 elements. It's kind of cultural. What's the kind of knowledge, cognitive ability and cognitive diversity, I think is very important. Kind of how constructive are we in terms of being able to create and use the tools of digital media in order to be able to produce something which is longer lasting and more profound, and then communicate that. What kind of confidence do we have to have? What kind of creative angle do we have on this, and how does that play a role in our civic life, and how do we participate for the benefit of society more generally? So we're going to look at this in terms of really ask the question, as kind of as Mayfield asks, is kind of what is the social in social media? It's a question that we should keep coming back to, and something that should prompt some discussion and some engagement about where things might go and what do we mean by being social, and has that process changed? We've established that music has always been a social process, but its manifestation and the forms that it takes change as the technologies of sharing and the technologies of participation in the process of the cultural process of music distribution, dissemination and engagement have changed as well. So where do we fix? Where do we get an idea of maybe how things are moving in the future? The notes, as ever, are up on the DMU Commons wiki. Just go to wiki.our.dmu.ac.uk and look for the TECH1002 pages or section. And if you want to carry on some of the discussion about this lecture or any other of the topics that we're covering in the module, go to talk.our.dmu.ac.uk and just log on there, create a new topic, share some examples of media and discussion and debate that you've seen as well. So and your blogs, share your blogs on there as well. So see you at the lecture.